would rather be feared. Fear lasts longer than love. Friendships that are bought with money mean nothing. You see how it is around here. I make a joke, everybody laughs. I know I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. It's fear that keeps them loyal to me. But the trick is not to be hated. That's why I treat my men good, but not too good. I give them too much, then they don't need me. I give them just enough where they need me, but they don't hate me. Don't forget what I'm telling you.
We back at it. That was my new intro. I hope y'all hope you liked it. And if you didn't know where that came from, or you know what? If somebody was listening to the intro, I'll leave it up to you to put it up. Put it in the comments if you was able to hear it. But welcome back. We are at April 2nd, pushing episode number 22. That's crazy. I did 22 of these already. 22 episodes of One Down Podcast. And I want to say thank y'all for tuning in with me. Thank you for curving out the 1 o'clock hour to chill with me. And I've been trying to cut it at an hour because lately I was going over that. But when it's good, you just got to keep rolling with it. Not saying that the 1 hour stuff is good, but I really just been trying to keep it at an hour so people know that it'll fit their schedule. But hope everybody doing good. We have entered April, the second quarter of the month of the year, second quarter of the year. What's happening? Thank you very much, Links. Much love and respect. Coming all the way from New York. And I bet you when people try to sound New York with a New York accent to people who from New York people probably say they sound stupid. So sorry about that. But this is the second quarter of the year. We're in April. Yesterday was April Fool's Day. It didn't even feel like it. Life is so serious. I don't think people even realize. I didn't until later in the day somebody told me. My biggest part was like, holy shit, I didn't know that because I could have got. But there was one thing that was floating around via social media. And matter of fact, I did do a copy. I copied it. Let me see if I can show you real quick. Because when I read it, it didn't even dawn on me that it was April Fool's Day. So I took it as serious. And here it is right here. Bam. Check that out. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thank you very much. You should open up a bar in downtown San Diego. Ooh, man. What up, Spot Bill? Gypsy. Yeah, so there it is right there. Breaking news. Lane splitting will be illegal in California starting June 1st. The California legislature has voted to make lane splitting illegal, and Governor Newsom has signed the bill into law effective June 1st, 2024. And then April 1st up top. But none of that mattered. All we saw as bikers is lane splitting will be illegal. So I was like, what the I just saw everything changing out here. But that was an April Fool's joke. So whoever really put that together, props to them because they did get me on that. I believed it for a hot second. Raider Podcast. What's happening? But yeah, good to see everybody tapping into the podcast right now. I want to say thank you very, very much. Again, this podcast is me giving back, just sharing, and sharing and not expecting nothing back from nobody except sharing time back. That's it. And just enjoying, being able to travel vicariously through some of my travels in life. But yeah, the title of this podcast, what up, Bingo? The title of this podcast was having to do with me opening up a bar in Chino Hills. And oh man, in my head, I'm gonna tell you else. What I used to do in the beginning when I started this podcast, I would have notes. So now that I'm getting a little comfortable, I'm really not referring to the notes unless I got a bunch of different stuff that I'm gonna speak on. So basically, me just speaking on this life that I lived during the time I opened up this bar in Chino Hills, that's pretty much just the subject. But so the year was 2004. And before I got to Chino Hills to buy that bar, I was looking around to where I wanted to, put a bar. And at first it was Chino, and Chino said that they were oversaturated with liquor licenses in Chino. So it wasn't going to go down. And then I figured it'll be best to just buy an existing bar and get that license that's already basically grandfathered into the city and they're already established. But when you do that, you got to make sure that the liquor license, the business, just don't have a bunch of flags, on their situation. And their liquor license isn't, in jeopardy of something. So you want to find a clean liquor license and a business that's doing clean business. They ain't got no junk attached to it, and the corporation is straight. So ended up getting pointed to this place in Chino Hills off of Chino Hills Parkway and Pipeline. And it was called the Brazilian Barbecue. That's what it was called, the Brazilian Barbecue. And it was the type of place, if I remember, where they got the meat and then they kind of shave it and you put this little thing, red or green, and meat just keep coming. From what I remember, that's what it was. I didn't eat there or anything. On one side was a bar and the other side was the restaurant. I say that I don't remember because I wasn't interested in buying the place for the type of business he was doing. I was interested in buying it because he had a liquor license and me flipping it into what I wanted it to be. So the guy who owned it, he was an older guy. And it was a trip because he was telling me, no, you don't want to buy this place. You don't want to buy it. Just walk away. You don't want to buy this. And I'm like, yeah, I want to buy it, man. So this dude, he was older. When I say older, I don't know if he was probably touching the later in the later 60s, I think. And he really did his best to discourage me from buying the place. He wanted to sell it, but he did his best to discourage me from buying it. And at that moment, I really didn't know why, but I just continued to move forward with what I wanted to do. He even complained about, the customers and just the bar business. But I wasn't a rookie to the bar business. I wasn't a rookie to nightlife. I wasn't a rookie to alcohol business. I understood the concept and I know what's popping, but he had his reasons. So I go through with everything. I buy the place. And what it was bought the property. No. That one, the property was owned by somebody else. So I just bought his business and assumed the lease. And the first thing, removed his Brazilian barbecue. I put up one down lounge. And once you do that, you get this liquor license for the transfer, and they put this big yellow thing on the wall. That lets people know that the liquor license is going through a transition. What's happening, Veronica? And K Solo, what up? Good to see y'all up in here. Much love, thank y'all. And so the liquor license lets people know there's a situation going on. So I say that because this is kind of when it started to kick in. Now, before that, when you go in and the regulars to a bar, these are the people who sit at the bar every day. They're either retired drunks, they're retired men who might be drunks, or you got females, or they ain't even got to be retired. They just come in there right after work. What's that? Oh, Andy Perez. What's up, y'all? Good to see everybody. They're retired, or they're just some alcoholics, or they don't got a life. Whatever it may be, they come to the bar every single day. These are your regulars. You really do depend on them. And they start to feel like that's their bar. Their bar. From what age to whatever. What up, 71? From 21 up. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s year olds. So they catch wind because when a bar is selling, you really don't want the staff to know because they could just start stealing and everything just gets ugly. But when I stepped in there that day and the guy was showing me around, they all knew that it was going down. So immediately, nobody in there looked like me. None of the regulars look like me, meaning black. None of the staff is black. And I noticed that the customers who were sitting on the other side of the bar, where they're supposed to be sitting, when the bartender was at the other side of the bar down the way to the left, the customers would get the fuck up, walk behind the bar, pour their own drink, and they go back and sit down, or get up, get their own beer, push it, and push the thing and the beer come out. And I was just like, what the fuck is that? And so it was something that the old owner had given these privileges to these customers. So immediately I already know that's going to be a problem because all that shit is out the door. So I say that to let you know how settled these customers were with the prior arrangements. I buy the bar and I start my remodel. And during my remodel, I kept the bar open. And I get this letter in the mail. Check my mail. The letter comes, a note. It was written like you see on a TV show when they cut each letter and then they paste it and they spell words out from letters that they've cut like a kidnap letter. That's what they did. And it said, I think I still have the letter. It was 2 of them. We don't want your kind in Chino Hills. Get your smut peddling self out of Chino Hills. We don't want you here. You're not welcome here. And it was ugly. They did some research. They put some pictures of me in it from like my old website. And so I was disturbed because, again, this is 22 years ago. So I'm 22 years younger. I'm mad and I'm disturbed about it. They sent another one and it was uglier. They started attacking stuff with their words. And then the next thing you know, I get a letter from ABC, the alcohol beverage control, who has to do with licensing for me to get my alcohol license, fully. They tell me that it's been a freeze put on my alcohol license because of some letters that they got. So I got to go down there for an appointment with ABC. And I'm just like nervous, because they're basically like the feds for the alcohol license. I go in there and a woman called my name. And immediately today, this life we live, you can read people if they just going to be a fucking dick or they look like things, they got a little coolness to them. So luckily this person seemed like they had a little coolness to them, but they still had to do their job. And she's walked me into the room. And then I said, did I do something wrong? She said, nah, you didn't do nothing wrong. We just got these letters. And these letters, by law, if I'm saying this right, we have to address them. and it was sent to us also. And so I said, "Oh, that's the same stuff I got." And she said, "Yeah." So it's I'm not sure if she said it's ugly, but she kind of said something like that. It's ugly. She said, "But fortunately for you, we still have to address this, but fortunately for you, they did not sign it. They did not sign it. They didn't put a name. They didn't put a return of address." I said, "Well, I noticed that too. So we can't move forward with anything, but we still had to bring you in to address it and make contact." I said, "Oh, okay, so ain't nothing gonna happen?" She said, "No, you'll still move forward. You know, if everything work out, you'll get your license. But if this was signed, then there's a whole nother situation." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm good." She said, "Yeah, you good." Cool. I left. So then about a week later, this old white lady, I happened to be standing at the bar area. And the way this bar is built, every time the door opens up, the sun shines in and it just looks like a backlit silhouette of somebody until they keep walking. Then you can see their face. But I saw this image of an old person with a cane. She walks in, she looks around. So I look at her and then I walk up to her. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She just got her cane. Older. Older meaning I think she's probably she's in her mid 70s, I think, or 70-ish. And she says, "Oh, yeah, it must be you, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" She said, "Well, I just want you to know you and Mr. Woods are the only black owners in Chino Hills." I said, "All right." I said, "Who's Mr. Woods?" "Mr. Woods, the black gentleman that owns Ford right up the street. You and him." I said, "Okay. Thank you." I said, "You gonna have a drink or something? Eat?" "Nope." She just turned around and walked out. This is stuff that was different for me to be confronted with. I didn't see it as a threat. I just saw it as her just speaking her mind. And Mr. Woods, was a black man who owned the Ford dealership in Chino Hills. That's facts. That's that's a big thing to own a dealership. And so now we move forward. But let me back up. I opened on a Tuesday, and this is facts. I opened on a Tuesday. And I remember opening, meaning the bar was already open. I didn't close it, just a transfer of ownership. And my first day of business as One Down Lounge was on a Tuesday. I told myself and the people close to me, this is going to be the first bar where there's never a fight. Never a fight at this bar. Everybody, Chino Hills Ford was my dealer until Mr. Woods sold it. I'm not sure if you're right about that, bro. I'll fill you in about that. So, oh shit, I gotta stop looking at the thing. So, okay. Oh yeah. So when I bought the bar, on a Tuesday was my first day I opened up. I tell people this is gonna be the first bar. There's never no fights. It's always gonna be fun and cool here. That was on a Tuesday. You got Wednesday. And those 2 days, this is when I had to tell the people at the bar, the regulars, tell the bartender they can no longer get up and serve themselves alcohol and do that stuff no more. The bartender was like, "What?" Because I kept a couple of them. So that was a little issue, but it's either, hey, deal with it or get the fuck on. So now we go to Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday, that's my first weekend. Right on. Somebody said they went to the One Down back in the day. And my first Saturday is crowded. A lot of people came out. Towards the end, we did a last call. And there was a dude in the back playing pool. And earlier throughout, I kind of noticed his body language. So when the last call was called, and then the bartender started going around picking up beers and empty bottles and stuff. One of the waitresses come back to me. She says, "Hey, that guy in the back said he'll leave when he gets ready, and when he's done with his beer, then he'll get rid of it." When I tried to just, let him know that we're last call going to be closing. And so I looked at him. I was like, all right, And she said, he said it kind of with an attitude. And so I waited for a little bit, and then I walked back there. And I said, "Hey, my man, we're going to do a last call." And, everybody been, we shutting it down. So he looked at me, looked away, rolled his eyes. And so immediately I felt a certain type of way. So I walked back to the bar, which is about 10 or 15 feet away. So now he's still playing pool by himself. He playing pool by himself. And then I'm looking at him, and I could feel my energy just starting to boil. And so he puts his pool stick down. He he looks right at me, and he starts walking towards me. And as he's walking towards me, he has the bottle in his hand, but he's holding it the way you hold the neck when you're about to hit somebody with it. And so I look at him, and then I look at the bottle, then I look back in his eyes, and somebody noticed the way he was holding the bottle. And so somebody came up and was like, "Oh, I'll take the bottle for you. Thank you. We're doing last call," and kind of like pulled it out of his hand. And so I was just like, cool, good timing. Glad that little situation is resolved with that bottle. And so he's standing kind of like, not really in my personal space, but in front of me. And then he just stares at me. And then I'm just like, damn, this is really going to go down like this, And so he looks at me, and then he turns around, and then he walks back to get something. And I didn't know what it was. So now he's coming back towards me, and then he reaches in his jacket like this, and then he pulls out, and in my head, only thing I saw was a gun. He pulls this out, and I saw a gun, and then I looked again, and I saw that it was a pitcher. It was a pitcher. And then so my shit went up. And then it kind of settled a little bit, but I was still uncomfortable. And so he walks towards me, and he said, "This might be your bar, but I run this bar." And I was like, "Okay, man, well, it's last call." And then with the pitcher in his hand, he says, he did like this, and it was a pitcher. He said, "These guys, that's a cool guy. In this picture, that's a cool guy. You're a bitch." And now he's just a little bit closer to me. And I'm standing out on the other side of the bar. Nothing is between us. And there's people to the right. They're watching this. People watching it. The regulars that sit at the bar and the regulars who come in there. They're watching it. I'm about 5'11". He's probably 6 or 6'1". When you're 5'11", that 1 inch makes a difference. When people 6 foot and up. And so now I'm upset. I said, "Man, listen, you call me a bitch again, I'm gonna fuck you up." He said, "Okay. Well, this guy in the picture, this is a good guy. This is a cool guy. You're a bitch." And so as soon as he said that, bam, I hit him on the left. So when I hit him with the left, he stood there, and he looked dazed. And so as soon as I recognized that, this is all within just milliseconds. Bow! I hit him. And when I noticed the motherfucker didn't fall, the only thing I could do now was hit him again, but with a right. Boom! Because I'm right-handed. Bam! So as soon as I hit him, He didn't go back or to the side. His legs just gave out and he just dropped straight down. So he dropped straight down. And so as soon as he dropped straight down, I had already backed up probably about a foot right when I hit him. And so when I backed up and he fell to the ground, I noticed immediately that he was in the attempt to get back up. So now he was like in a doggy style position. And so as soon as he put himself in a doggy style position to like get back up, in my head, I'm like, perfect, thank you. Field goal, boom. I kicked him in the head. Bam. So as soon as I kicked him in the head, bloom, he's out. And then in my head, and right then and there, I said, fuck. I remember doing that. Fuck. Like, I didn't even want this shit to happen, but I knew it would. And so as soon as I kicked him in the head, okay, somebody yelled, stop. And so the way that this person yelled it, I just knew that was the popo. So I looked, and it was a dude who I had seen throughout the week. And he stepped right in and he grabbed the dude on the floor. And when he grabbed him, he said, I'm an off-duty cop. And I was like, fuck, I've been seeing you in here all fucking week, you know? And so he grabbed the dude and he started to drag him out the door. So as he's dragging him out the door, the dude kind of like comes to and he looks at me knowing he's getting dragged out, but he smiled. And when he smiled, I was like, what the fuck was that goofy shit about? So he gets pulled out. Now me, I'm just on some regular old hood shit. Best thing for me to do is bounce. Boom. I just jump in my car and bone out. The owner of the bar running. So by the time I get halfway to wherever I was going, my phone is ringing, blown up. So I answer it. You need to come back to the bar. You cannot do that and run. You need to come back to the bar. The police are here. Everybody's here. So I turn around. I pull up to the back of the bar, come from the back door into the bar. As I pulled up, I'm seeing paramedics, fire department, police, all this stuff out front. And I'm just like, fuck, man, my first Saturday. I come in through the back. I walk in. And as soon as I walk into the bar area, I'm seeing police and then boom, people pointed at me. It was like, there you go right there, you know? And so I look and the cop, he was like, yeah, come here. And I'm like, fuck. I said, what's up? He said, let's go over here and sit down. And I'm mad. I got that street attitude mad. I sit down with an attitude. He was like, tell me what happened. I said, he called me a bitch. I told him to call me a bitch again. We doing last call, call me a bitch. And told him to call me a bitch again. I'm gonna fuck him up. So call me a bitch and I hit him. He said, oh, so you were in fear for your life. He threatened you and you needed to protect yourself. And he had a beer bottle in his hand and you felt threatened. I said, nah, he didn't scare me. I didn't feel threatened. I just told him, he called me a bitch again. I'm going to sock you in the face. I'm going to fuck you up. He said, oh, okay. So you felt threatened. You were in fear for your life. And you needed to protect yourself. I said, no, man. Dude called me a bitch. I ain't no bitch. I told him, you do it again, I'm going to fuck you up. He said, oh, you were in fear of your life. You thought you were in fear. You were scared. And I'm just like, no. Oh, shit. I was like, this cop is helping me. I didn't even catch him. I said, yeah, I was in fear. He said, okay, yeah, you were in fear for your life and you needed to protect yourself. I said, yeah. He said, okay. Yeah. And so he got to writing. And so for the first time, I was like, this is some TV shit that I only seen on TV, like where he trying to help a cat, you know? And so he wrote it up and he said, listen, this is the neighborhood bully over there. That's the neighborhood bully. And finally, this bully then ran up on something. He said, so listen, he's going to file charges. That's what he told me. He said, this guy is going to file charges. But there's a good chance that the charges are going to get dismissed or dropped. The DA is not going to pick it up. Not going to pick it up. He said, but I almost guarantee you, he's going to file a civil suit against you. A civil suit where he's going to come after some money. He said, I guarantee you that's going to happen. And then I said, oh, shit. That's why that goofy motherfucker smiled. And so the cop told me that pretty much guarantee it's not going to get picked up, but the civil suit will come. And what up, Logic? What up, everybody? Thank y'all for tapping in. And so I'm mad. I'm just depressed that fuck, man. I told myself this place will have no fights. It'll be a cool, fun bar. The first week, the first Saturday, it cracked off, and I had something to do with it. And so now so Sunday, I'm open 7 days a week. The next day, people coming. They're like, oh, man, the new owner. Hey, man, I heard you don't take no shit. I'm just like, oh, man, I'm cool, man. It was just whatever, just a certain dude, So then I don't remember how long it took. I don't know if it was obviously some type of weeks. Boom, get served. Civil lawsuit from that dude. And I'm like, whoa, this dude is actually moving forward with that. So I had to now get an attorney and deal with this civil suit situation. So long story short, the civil suit stuff did not successfully work out for him. No criminal charges for me, no civil suit success for him. But I'll go back to sitting in front of the cop. The cop said, after talking, he said, man, listen. He said, listen, you cannot own a bar and be security at the same time. He said, you are going to need security. You are going to need paid security. You need them to absorb whatever type of disgruntlement, infractions, situations that happen, not you. You don't need to be putting hands on nobody or dealing with none of that. He said, so get you some security up here. He said, there's Chino Hills. Get you some goons up here. He was a cool cat. I don't know who he was. And if I did, I wouldn't say his name. He said, man, you need to get you some goons up here. So as soon as he said that, I said, oh, I got goons. So with that being said, yes. The next day, now we're fast forwarding it. The next day, I'm getting security situations together. And I was able to get my goon squad up there. And so the civil suit situation was dismissed or whatever. It didn't work out. The case didn't go through. Now, the next Saturday, I'm ready. I got my goon squad up there. I got some big swole brothers and, some of my SA partners and, we up in there. And I had them come in at night, but during the daytime, the customers had said, hey, get the owner. And so the bartender came and got me at my office. And I said, what's up? He said, you don't see what's going on in the parking lot? I said, no. Then I walked to the window and I was like, holy fuck. Oh my God. These motherfuckers had these big old lifted trucks, big lifted trucks. And in the back of the truck, they had the big old poles with the Confederate flag attached to the pole. And they were doing circles riding through the parking lot with the trucks with the Confederate flags. And I'm just like, holy fuck, it's going down up here. This is horrible. So I just looked at them through the windows and they just kept circling, and then they left. So I made sure that my goon squad was, ready for later tonight. So nighttime kicks in and the security at the door sends a message for me to come to the door. So when I go to the door, I see about 4 cats out there. And I see one of those trucks, but the Confederate flag wasn't in it. But the truck was there and it was 4 dudes. And the doorman, I looked at all the dudes, and then my partners, they standing to the right of me, beside of me. Some, they behind me looking out the door. Some of them already posted up outside. And then I said, what's the issue? He said, yeah, we just trying to get up in here. I said, okay, well, why is there an issue? And then the security guard says, well, when I searched him, he has a gun on him. And we don't allow guns. I said, man, you can't come up in here with a gun. He said, I can do what the fuck I want to do. I said, well, you can't come up in here with a gun. So now immediately, everybody in my goon squad is pumped up because they know why they there. So the dude says, I'm an off-duty cop. So soon as he said that, one of my partners said, fuck the police. And so me, I'm professional. I try, And so I looked, and at that moment, I said, okay, well, I see where he coming from with that. So he said, fuck the police. And then another dude said, you ain't even supposed to be in here with your gun anyway. Even if you a cop, you ain't even supposed to be bringing that into a bar, And so he said, oh, all right then. You some smart motherfuckers. And so he turned around. He goes to the fucking truck, opens the door because he parked close. He parked right there. And you see him put the gun in the car. And so now he comes back to the door with his 3 buddies was right there. And they all looking, trying to look hard. And so when he comes back, he said, now I can go in. And I said, no, now you can't come in. I said, you're not welcome to come in. He said, what the fuck you mean we not welcome to come in? I'm coming in. So he goes to walk in, and nope. Bop, boom, bop, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, bop, bop. It just goes down. These cats got the brakes beat off of them. Molly whopped, beat down. And to where the visual is 3 of them molly whopped up. They done. One of them is toe back, but he's the one that's able to kind of keep his balance. I was like, cool. So pulled off of him. And, within a few minutes, we all back up and they getting themselves up, pulling themselves up and looking like they supposed to, fully embarrassed, stupid. And they just get in their vehicles. Now, mind you, all these people inside, they watching this. They're watching this go down. Through the windows, through the door. These cats get in their vehicles and they leave. And when they left, we go back inside And the energy amongst us is, after a situation like that, people hyped. So we go back inside and everybody in there, they clapping, cheering, because these are the people who either they traveled far to come to my bar, and some of them actually live in Chino Hills. And they're there because they not with the ignorant racist bullshit. They not with it. And they glad to see, some melanation come to Chino Hills. So we walk back inside and then they clapping and people happy. And then this girl comes up to me. She said, I've been wanting to talk to you and ask you before, you recognize my name from the doorman, if I'm allowed to come in here. And I said, yeah, you cool. Why? What's up? She said, well, my brother is the guy that you hit and tried to sue you. I was like, oh shit. So immediately I'm like, get your ass out of here. But I said, you know what? And then she said, he's my brother, but I don't like him. And I don't co-sign on what he does. I said, okay, well, if you cool, keep it cool. Yeah, you're more than welcome to stay and enjoy yourself, So she did that and she was righteous and she was cool, And the dudes who got their asses beat the fuck down, they did take that. They took that. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Bronx Tale part. It reminded me of the Bronx Tale when they shut the door and said, now you can't leave. So these cats got what was coming to them, got what they asked for, left. I never, ever, ever seen that truck again, any of those trucks, any of those guys ever again. Never seen them. Still to this day. So even if they catch this, and even if anybody watches this who was there that night, ain't no lies being told. And those cats, if your life is cool right now, the 4 dudes who got the brakes beat off y'all asses, you know damn well that was something that you put yourself into. And props to y'all. I give you that. For taking that to the chin and not finding yourselves, making that 911 call on some shit that you started. So another situation. This was during the midday time. The doorman comes to me. He said, hey, I got a situation at the door. I said, what's up? He said, man, just some youngster trying to get in. I said, what? So I go to the door, and now it's my home, my partner, one of my partners. He always keeps some size. He like to fight. He walking with me. I go to the door, and I said, what's up, man? He said, and it was, I don't even need to say the nationality of this dude, because you'll know. He look at me, look us up and down, and this dude was fairly young. I'm 53 now. Again, this was about 22 years ago. And however old I was then, 30 something, I don't know, whatever it was. He looks at me and looks at my partner. We black. My doorman is a big old Mexican dude, big, like 6'8". And this dude was in his very early 20s. And so he looks at me and he kind of giggles, looks at my partner, he giggles. And then immediately, I know how I'm built and my partner, we just want to just tear his ass up right there. And so, and then he said, oh, y'all got tattoos? I had on a short sleeve shirt and so did my partner. And he said, and then I just looked at him. But prior to that, he was trying to get in. And I don't think he either had his ID or wasn't 21, something like that. And so basically it was like, well, you can't come in. And then it got to the tattoos. And he says, oh, I got a tattoo. I was like, right on. He said, oh, you want to see it? I didn't say nothing. So he stands there, lifts his right leg in the air, and then he pulls his pants leg up right above his knee. He pulls it all the way up above his knee. And what's on his knee? A big ass swastika. And immediately inside of myself, I was like, God damn, this little motherfucker about it. I ain't never seen no swastika in real life like this. And so as soon as he showed it, my partner, I looked at him and he just like pushed me to the side, to just stomp the dude out. And I was like, no. And so as soon as he didn't, then the dude was like, oh, okay. Oh, it's like that. And I said, man, you best just leave. He said, no, I'm in Chino Hills. This where I'll be. I'm right here. And so I just turned around and I told the doorman, make sure he don't accidentally slip up in here. And so me and my partner, we went back inside the bar. And we was just like, God dang, you believe that little motherfucker did that? So obviously, you know what skin color he was. And so the night goes through, nothing else from that dude. The very next day, I'm driving to the bar towards the afternoon, morning time. I get a call from the bartender. The bartender says, hey, hopefully you're on your way up here. That guy from last night, he's out front with a bat and he's tapping on the window saying, where's the black owner? And I was like, what? So during this time, I had a brand new Corvette. So I just smashed it even more. I pull into the back, the bar, pull into the backside, come through the back, come through the bar doors. And as soon as I come through, I'm mad. And the regulars that sit at the bar, it was like, oh, here he comes. The sheriff is here. And that always remind me of like Blazing Saddles with the black sheriff. And so I walk in through the bar, I'm mad, And so as I'm walking to the front door, I can see through these windows that's that same dude. And this dude is right there and he got a bat. And so I'm looking at him and I'm just thinking like, I could picture myself opening up the door real quick, beating him down. Even though he got a bat, I got to picture myself beating him down. And so next thing I know, the police pull into the parking lot. And I turned around to look at the bar and somebody at the bar is giving me the thumbs up. Like they had called the police. And so I was like, fuck. So the police went through the parking lot and then he came straight towards the bar. And then he said, boop, boop. And then the dude was staring inside the bar, but the windows are black. So he couldn't really see, but he was looking inside, just like mean mugging whoever was like looking at him. He mean mugging with the bat. That's why I was able to look at him, but he couldn't see me. And so as soon as a cop hit the siren, his face changed and he just turned around. And the cop said something like, put the bat down and step away from it, whatever. And so the dude dropped the bat, stepped to the side, and then the cop got out and told the dude, he told him to sit on the curb. And so as soon as he did that, I opened up the door. And then I looked at the cop, and then the cop looked at him, the cop looked at me. And in my assumption, that cop was saying to himself, brother, this shit ain't gonna never end. That's the look he gave me, like, you're gonna be dealing with this shit over here in Chino Hills. And so he told the dude, before he even spoke to him, something like, oh, I ain't gonna say his name, blank, stay your ass on the curb. He called him by his first name. And so I was like, oh shit, he already know this dude. And so he came to me, he said, what's going on? I said, last night he tried to get in and didn't even have his ID, or I don't know if he under 21 or whatever. And then he went straight to showing his swastikas and shit like that. He said, oh, okay, well, and then he said, today, I said, I got a call that he was up here asking for me and then he had a bat in his hand, as you can see. Somebody else in there must have called or something, but you guys showed up just as quick as me showing up and saw him with the bat, and I saw you pull up. And he said, all right, well, this is basically not gonna end quickly. You know, something he said like that, meaning me being in Chino Hills. He said, but as for him, you ain't gonna see him. He said, he's he's a piece of shit. And we've been waiting for him to just violate. So he said he's on parole. And this right here will give him minimum a year. He said he's just annoying. He's annoying. So this right here is him violating his parole or probation, whichever it was. I think it was parole. And he said, off the rip, you will not have no issues with this one for a year. He's gone. And so I just said, whatever. So the dude looked at me. And when he looked at me from the car or whatever, as he was getting into the car, he again, he laughed. And so I said to myself, like, damn, this little motherfucker's institutionalized like a motherfucker. He don't give a fuck, you know. So fast forward about a year and a few months later, I'm in a different Corvette. And I'm at the light. And so a car pulls up to my right side, and my windows are tinted. The car pulls up, and so, you know, normal, you just always looking around. So I look, my windows are tinted. I said, holy fuck, that's that fucking dude. And it's been over a year. And so he's just looking at the car like, dang, looking out the side, like looking at it, looking at the wheels, just looking at the Corvette. You know, it's whatever year that was, it was a new Corvette and it was fixed up. It was dope, Z06. So he just jocking it. And I'm just looking at him through the tinted windows. And then I rolled the window down on his ass. And then he's looking at it and he went, he's just, everything changed. And then I said, what's up, man? He said, what's up? He said, yeah, my life has changed, man. My life has changed. And what happened back there, it stays back there. My life has changed. And then he crossed his eyes like to the back. And so I looked at the back of his car, and it was a newborn baby back there, or young. Like he must have got the chick pregnant before he left or something like that, but 1 or 2 years old or something like that. And so I looked at the back, and I saw the baby in a car seat. And his whole expression, his everything, it was something that I could truly say he meant it. And I just said, right on, man. And I rolled the window up and I left. And I never, ever saw him again. Never saw him again. So those are some of the highlighted situations. Now, between that stuff, once I got my remodel done and during my remodel done, now we go to the biggest parties that was popping off and have ever popped off in Chino Hills. The absolute biggest parties. And these are something that I simply called back then the MySpace parties. This is when MySpace had first came out and was launching. And it was super cracking, like on some goofy shit. You would go here and you would see people that you see on MySpace and you're like, oh shit, I seen you on MySpace, you know, and like that was the thing. And so these were actually called MySpace parties. And this was cracking bigger than anything that has ever came through Chino Hills. Still to this day, nothing has been bigger than the MySpace parties that I was throwing. And the police, there you go. People speaking on it in the chat. The police actually came to me to say, I think you need to get a permit for how many people are showing up to your bar? I said, a permit? I said, I ain't never heard of a place that's a business needing to get a permit, for having an event, you know. And they weren't even too sure. They didn't know what to do with how many people were showing up. But I know that I needed to make sure I wasn't over capacity inside of the place. But outside, it was still cracking outside because I had this barbecue dude show up. I don't even know if he's still alive. I'll say his name. I think his name was Shogun. And he would barbecue outside. And I give him some love. And his food was off the hook, outside barbecue. And so these MySpace parties, still to this day, people who had the privilege to attend these parties, I know damn well in their life book of events, that was some of the best times they had, the best events that they've ever taken part in. I have tons of pictures from the MySpace parties. And I will put some of them together and make them into like video with music and put them on my YouTube channel. And you'll probably see yourself, see some people you know. And a lot of the pictures are wild. People was just wild up in there. And luckily people wasn't taking pictures how they do now, and posting shit. These are very, very, very exclusive pictures that I ain't never shown, that I'm aware of. I never showed them. So you're going to see some stuff from back in the day when people really used to enjoy themselves and party and have a good time. So those are the MySpace parties that I used to throw at that place. And so Link says she remembered the pictures. Trish, she was there for the for those. Somebody else. Oh, Mondo, yeah. How long did the lounge remain open after this? The lounge, 04. I think I did 3 years there. I like the nightlife, but I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke weed. I don't do dope drugs. I don't drink. I don't drink hard alcohol. I don't drink beer. So I don't like super drunk motherfuckers, male or female, sloppy. I don't like being around them. And it's different when you own a bar, The fun is not there for me, especially because I don't drink. So I'm not in that mindset to get drunk with somebody and have fun. I'm sober, but I still have fun. But it just got to be just a little overwhelming with the bar situation out there or something. It was a cool experience over there. I sold it to another dude who owned a bar in Chino. He owned a bar in Chino. To me, he was a racist. And this might get back to him, but you know that I'm standing on what I'm saying. And he was a racist against his own people, and he was a racist against black people because he made it a point not to serve any alcohol or beers that black people drank. Point blank. That was why he did it. And then amongst his own people, he treated fucked up, and people knew that. So he sent his business partner to inquire about buying my bar when I put it out there that I was going to sell it. So I sold it to his business partner, which basically to him too, but he never stepped forward, within the transaction of buying it. So, when you're selling something, I don't give a fuck who I sell it to, so I sold it to him. And he kept it open for a few years, and I think he got himself in a bad situation with that bar with some bartenders. I don't know if they were selling underage, selling dope, whatever they doing, lost the license, got shut down. But that bar right there was amazing, fun. You know what? Now I think about it, there were no fights outside of the situations that I had to deal with. And I say that because the people who participated, who came there with good intention, they did have love and respect for me. So basically, it was me weeding out the ignorant motherfuckers in the beginning. So technically, that bar never had no fights, never no situations. Oh, what's up? What up, D? Is that the same bar we shot in? So D is in the chat, but I don't think on Facebook, on my on YouTube, people can see it. D is tapping through the Facebook chat, and he said, "Is that the bar we shot in?" D shoots, or was, very, very well known male performer for Triple X movies. And is that the bar? No, so that place where we shot my adult movies, D, you shot in okay, he said he's gonna go to YouTube. You shot One Down Unlocked. That was the series that we shot when you shot One Down Unlocked. That was shot at my clubhouse. That was shot at my clubhouse. And my clubhouse in Ontario was really nice. And it looked like a really nice bar, but it was my clubhouse in Ontario. That was in Ontario. This bar that I speak on, this was in Chino Hills. All right, I'm here. It's D. Yeah, so that right there, that's D right there. And D is also a Rough Rider. And if you want to look him up to check out any of his work, he can post anything that'll get you to his work. And it was an honor to shoot you, my brother, and be in a position to pay you for your work. And I want to say thank you for, putting it down when you performed in my movies, and being a strong leading male talent in what you do, bro. So thank you. You the man, 50 grand always. Right on, man. Much love. I love it, creating good, long-lasting relationships, in a professional way. Let that be men or women. And one thing that I do know about myself is that I don't fuck people over, and for me to still be, in this life and in this lifestyle with a strong name, that says a lot. That says a lot. And when you got people that, tapping in from many years ago and they still feel good about you, that says a lot. And so I wanted to share with you, that experience of opening up that bar in Chino Hills. And after I closed the bar, here's what I used to do also. After we did Last Call, Goldie has always stood on business, unshakable. You had my back for the real. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you for those words too. After we would close the bar and all the people that was just hanging out at night to close up, it could have been 20, 30 of us. I would take everybody to Denny's. We walk in there deep as fuck to Denny's. And I just tell everybody, everything is on me. Everything is on me. Just order. It was like a $2 menu or some shit like that. And however long ago that was, it was really a midnight special. I don't know if it was $2 or $3 or $4, but it was a blessing for me to be able to give back to these people that came to the bar and spent money on liquor and food, and them to show some type of, friendship of hanging out. And we did this all the time. After we closed, we mobbed to Denny's. And the bill was, I don't know, let's just say, for instance, if you did 30 people. If it's $2, it's only $60. If it was $3, I don't know, 3 times $90 or something like that. It was worth it to give back, because I knew it wasn't about the money. It was the principle and giving people just something to be part of. I'm going to tell you something else that happened. The place was popping. One Down was popping so strong, because I also had my magazine, my One Down magazine that I was doing. And I think I ran an article either in my magazine or I put it on social media, and I had the DJ saying it at night. Okay. This is facts. 100%. This is true. Thank you, Kat. This is true. Getting into the bar, the restaurant bar was so needed for people. Okay. On the MySpace parties, we did a door fee. And, that's what, the door fee. The door fee is what I used to give back when we went out to eat after we closed the bar. So I ran this through my magazine and maybe on social media, and inside the bar, the DJ would say it. If anybody got a One Down tattoo, if you go get a One Down tattoo, you get in free. You get in free to the MySpace parties. And people ran out and got One Down tattoos to get in free to the One Down lounge. That's on everything. People started popping up with One Down tattoos to get in free to the bar. Thank you, Spotville. You are a stand-up man. I remember you did things for me you didn't have to. That's right, bro. Much love and respect. I see right there. Look at Mondo. Mondo's in the chat. He said, I got mine. Oh, man, that's facts. Yeah. People got One Down tattoos to get in free. Now, for me, it was nothing that I saw as clowning, funny, nothing. I took it as to the heart, and I still do. It was something serious, and I got love and respect for Mondo. Anybody who got the tattoo during that time, damn well that's something you still proud of. And that is a timeline in life of something that you experienced, What up, Goldie? Goldie is saying what's happening from Facebook chat. Goldie is the female Goldie who, I don't know if it's in June or July. If you can put that in there, I'll let people know when. I don't even want to call it an interview. It's just going to be like a crazy ass sit down with this woman. You're going to meet a woman through this podcast. Somebody you ain't never met nobody like her before. Never. But yeah, that's something that I'm glad I remembered to say, July 2nd, I will have a sit down with Goldie, and I will have my other setup by then to where it'll be in person with 2 cameras or 1 camera, but she'll be here. And then that will open up the door for me to do other sit downs if somebody wants to come in person and chat. She says she would rather do it in person than, what up, K Solo? Oh yeah. And Goldie, she said, and from what I know, she ain't never done nothing like this before. This will be her very first time doing any type of interview talk situation, and you're going to be witnessing something that you ain't witnessed before coming from a woman speaking on stuff. One of the realest men I've had the pleasure to meet. Very hospitable. Thank you. Thank you very much, Richardson. I appreciate that. But yeah, I won't drag this no longer. I feel like I could keep going. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. What's up, Karma? And let me just say this. Karma is coming in from Facebook. Karma is another amazing woman. She went out for a ride with us several months ago. We pulled out from a light, and boom, she had a little fender bender. And we were able to get her bike to the side and, you know, get her squared away. And I hope that your bike is all back to normal, and I hope you are physically all to the good. It was just a little, you know, bump that she took. But sometimes those little bumps can, you know, really cause a lot of damage. But at that moment, it didn't look like it. But I hope you all good. And but yeah, so thank y'all for tuning in. And be sure, it only take a second. Just hit like on my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Karma just said, "Oh, thank you. I'm doing good though. Still in lawsuit." Oh, okay, okay. But I can go down the list. But thank you everybody who tapped in on the chat, who said something. Everybody's to the people who didn't say nothing. Thank you for still tuning in. I appreciate the support. I'll be back next Thursday. And in between then, I'll be just trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about and getting some content. I didn't show no clips or anything from my camera or nothing like this time because I had a feeling this would just be all verbiage all the way through. So I hope it made sense, and I hope it was engaging for you guys. And I will see you next Thursday. In my intro, I made a new intro. I hope you're able to hear it and see it. So thank y'all. Much love and respect to everybody out there who's been engaged with me from day one of you, and you still there. Thank you very much. You know, dang, Dave Stevens, look at that. I played semi-pro football with him over 30 years ago. 30 years ago. That's good. All right, y'all. I can keep dragging this on. Much love and respect. And I will chat back with y'all soon. Love you too, Payback. Look at Payback saying what's up. All right, y'all. Peace.
So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're going to see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you. Come on. Make way for the bad guy here. There's a bad guy coming through. But again,